What's going on, everyone? This is Brian Turner here with another episode of the No Stress Midwest podcast. We're in season 5 now. Our theme for this season is coaches. I've been trying to do my best to get coaches at every range from club to high school, college, professional. Today, we're joined by a special guest, Mr. Doug McLagan, who's going to be representing all of the club coaches around the country. Doug, how's it going, man?
Everything's good. How about you?
I can't complain. I know we've been playing like Zoom tag for the past 2-3 weeks trying to get this going. So I'm happy that we finally got it down. So Doug, kind of talk to me. Let's kind of get just a little introduction of you. You're a club coach in the Kansas City area. We got connected because we had some players in common a few years ago. I think it was who was it? Ella Boehner, Rafa Crespo, Natalie Jones, Chelsea Wagner.
Yeah,
A good little group of players there. I had on the high school level. They did not stop talking about you at all during the season. So I was like, I got to see what this guy's about. So Doug, how did you kind of get into coaching? Talk to us about that. Were you a player? I know you're not from the States, so was that part of a move here? Just kind of give us a little introduction into that.
yeah, sure. So I was born in Scotland, raised in England, and I went to college in Wales, in
Oh,
Cardiff.
just boom,
Uh,
boom, boom. Got
yeah,
them
all
all.
over the place. Yeah.
Got
So
them
in
all.
Cardiff, I did a course called Human Movement Studies, and part of that was to try and get a certificate in areas like, so I had a volleyball certificate, coach, I think basketball, I had a cricket, and then soccer was one of them too. So we did the Welsh FA badge, intermediate, which is the equivalent of the B license here. And one of the reasons we did it was so we could go out and teach and be able to have some knowledge about those areas. Also, some of our guys used it to come on summer vacations. For example, one year I went to Canada and worked doing camps.
Yeah.
And then went to the States, and I came here, loved it, and never really left America.
Yeah.
So it was part of our course. But I grew up playing. I mean, I like to say I grew up playing soccer, but I grew up playing every sport, whether it was, depending what season, soccer, rugby, cricket. I was a gymnast. I mean, every sport I did at my high school.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like you don't really hear that too often from people that aren't from the United States, in the sense of playing multiple sports and being just kind of well-rounded. I feel like it's just soccer. At least that's what I hear. Am I wrong in that
No,
regard? Or
I don't want to speak for anybody else, but yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of honing in on one sport over here. I think I believe there was less in England growing up.
Okay.
I mean, I just went to a school where you had a certain amount of athletes and they just played every sport.
Everything together. Yeah.
Simple as that, so and I thought it was great. Absolutely.
Right. Well, and I feel like that's very much like, I mean, in school, I think you get that where, friends are usually the people that are all like the good athletes or ones at least like playing sports. And in gym class, like every day is the 7th versus 8th grade basketball championship, or like, then it's like the soccer tournament, then they do ultimate frisbee. So I do I get that part as well. So when you came over here to the States, was it to Kansas or was it to another state? Because I always wonder, like I meet people from other countries in like the middle of the US, and I'm like, I just don't understand how you find Kansas here. So how was that?
I came to Lenexa, Kansas. There you go. And one of the reasons I came there was it was who came before me. So Hugh Williams and Andy Barney were in Lenexa at All American Indoor Sports.
Yep.
So I came over there to do a camp and just liked the environment, loved Kansas City. And like I said, once I came here, I loved it so much, came back and I haven't left. So and that's the main reason why I came to Kansas City. I had no idea where Lenexa, Kansas was, believe me. Yeah. Now, I mean, I haven't left here for 36 years. So there you go.
Right. And you have a family here. I know you have a few boys that are still playing. What is it? Kyle, who's in Iceland?
Yep, Kyle's in Iceland.
Kyle's in Iceland. You have Cole, who's local with Sporting 2, correct?
Yeah, he's with Sporting 2, but unfortunately, 2 Mondays ago, he just had ACL surgery. So his season kind of came to a halt.
A whole,
But
yeah.
yeah, he's there. And then I have the younger one, Caden, who's 20, and he's at University of St. Thomas, the
There we
Thomas.
go. I was wondering where that shirt tied into this, because it matches, you know, the walls of the gym you're at. It matches the cyan color. So
Yeah,
okay,
it just happens that every school I teach at
it
happens
has
to
to
be
be
purple.
purple. Yeah,
And
that
when my
makes
kids
sense.
go, happens to be purple. So yeah, there
Makes
you go.
sense. That makes sense. So okay, well, talk to us on like your coaching journey, I guess you could say. You said you started doing camps and that kind of got you moving around. And obviously when you do camps, it's a lot different than a season and coaching with the club. Andy Barney and Hugh Williams are, I mean, are two huge names here in the soccer world. And KC, your coaching club and high school now. So kind of talk to us about how you got your first coaching job with the team and how has that kind of gone, taking you to this point?
Yeah, so I started off, I came over in like 86, 87. So I started off coaching a couple of club teams.
Hmm.
And that was Hugh Williams and I. So Hugh coached a year above me, and we were kind of sort of in the same club, although it
Okay.
was just a small club. And then I did that, and then I played 3 years indoor professionally with the Comets and the Wings. But
Hmm.
while I was doing the Comets, I was also coaching those club teams.
Yeah.
And then when my professional playing days finished, I got a real job, and that real job was teaching.
Yeah.
So then I would teach. I was hired as a boys coach and girls coach at Blue Springs High School. And then at the end of the day, I also would go and coach a couple club teams. So going from high school to club. And then I did have an opportunity also to help as an assistant coach with the Kansas City Comets when Vladko Andonovsky was there. But now I've just continued. I now just coach girls high school. So I just
Mhm.
coach in the spring with girls, and I coach girls in club. So club in the fall, high school in the spring. And so that's why we haven't been able to get together, because it just gets busy.
It just gets busy. Hey, I get that. Well, and I know we've had the pleasure of going against each other in high school once. I think that was the game Chelsea got a nick
Yeah.
on her knee or ACL, something like that. So obviously that was unfortunate in that regard. And I've seen some of your club games. Like I said, the players who we've had in common have had nothing but positive things to say about you. And I feel like that kind of gets lost in translation when you're coaching youth is, you know, are you doing it to win all the games and be the best club coach there is, right? Are you doing it to make an impact with the players? Are you doing it because you enjoy the game and you enjoy being out there and sharing your knowledge? You know, and it would show that not only are the teams that you're working with very, very good, but your kids, right, are playing professionally, playing in college right now. So I think that has something to say with you as a coach, you as a father as well, being able to like keep that balance between the two. Which kind of like transitions. Were you a coach for your kids? And like how did you go about that fine line, right? That we talk about of like being supportive, but then also like, hey, Cole, you really could have done better with that left-footed shot there, right? How was those conversations?
So we have a little balance in our family. So yeah, I played a little bit, but my wife also played, and she played D1 at George
Okay.
Mason. She got recruited the year after they won the national championship. She was also at 3 national camps.
Right. So she was
So
a
she was a
good
player.
player as well.
So we agreed what we would do is that coach our kids at a young age to make sure they would have the fundamentals.
Hmm.
So I think she started coaching off Caden, our youngest, and then I took over. With Kyle and Cole, we kind of did it a mixed way, and then I took over with Cole, and then a little bit with Kyle. So we wanted just to make sure they had a good basic, and then we would hand them off to people to take them from there. And I think it's worked pretty well because all of our kids do have that basic technique that you need to go as far as you want.
Right.
Kyle, like you said, is in Iceland playing pro. Cole's playing in Kansas City. This is his second year of playing pro. And then Caden has that goal.
Mhm.
Right now, he's playing at UST and enjoying his time. So it's a good balance to have where we have just made sure that they've got a start, and then we're quite happy to hand them off to people and let them coach them there. So Yeah, it's a balance, and it's the balance you need.
Yeah.
No question about that.
Okay. So, teachers, we want you. Are you a licensed teacher in the Missouri or Kansas KC metro area looking to make a couple extra dollars tutoring over the weekday and weekends? Well, No Stress Midwest is the place for you. No Stress Midwest Education is looking for teachers to help in one-on-one tutoring, small group academic enrichment, and study hall. We are looking for teachers to work on average 2 to 3 nights a week, 2 hours a night in the subject of language arts, science, math, social studies, and foreign language. If you're interested, please visit nostressmidwest.com/education and fill out an application today. Cheers. Okay, so with the fall team, the club team you've got going on right now, how do you go about going into a club season versus going into a high school season? Do you treat them the same? Do you treat them different? They are different. Do you try to have some core values or core things that you bring from one to the other? Kind of talk to us about that, because I feel like a lot of coaches are in your position in the
Yeah.
sense of coaching club and coaching high school. And how do you go about doing that?
Well, going back to what you said before, look, it is about winning,
Hmm.
but it's not all about winning.
Yeah.
So I always tell my club team, and I tell my high school at spring every time, that look, we're going to play pretty soccer,
Hmm.
because I'm not going to sit here and coach you and watch ugly soccer.
Right.
So there are certain fundamentals, like, I mean, one of the biggest things I'd say to all my teams is 6 to 8 passes.
Hmm.
So every time we win the ball, I want to make 6 to 8 passes so we can move people up the field and we can play attractive soccer.
Yeah.
We could get it and whack it forward to the best player, and she can go run after it, score as many goals as she can. But I don't enjoy that style. So therefore, I'm not going to coach it.
Yeah.
So, and we have different levels. I mean, high school is completely different to club. At club, all your players are more or less on the same level.
Hmm.
At high school, you've got some that are top quality, average quality, good quality, some that don't even play club soccer.
Yep.
So that's a mixture. So you've got
Yep.
to somehow mold a team that isn't used to playing with all different levels.
Hmm.
So it's a challenge on both. I treat them similar, but there's no way you can coach them both the exact same.
Right.
Because on club, like I said, they're all similar levels. So you can go a little bit more advanced working together as a team.
Hmm.
Whereas on high school, you've got to work through certain areas that your team might be strong at and try and play through those. And
Right.
also work on the areas where they might be weak at, so you can strengthen them and you can still compete
Yeah.
and then you win. So
Yeah.
it's a mixed bag.
No, and I think that's huge to understand the difference. And like you said, club, everyone's on the same level for the most part, and whether they're all Division 1 or they're all Division 3, right? They're all still the same, and that's how you can work on stuff. I had experiences where, like, what I really enjoyed about high school was that, especially being the varsity coach, is like I could have as many players as I wanted at my trainings. So, like if I want to do 11s, hey, JV, give me 3, 4 players and we're doing that. If I only want to work on a small group, right, I can do that. Club, man, I'd have some days where I have 6 kids come to a training and I'm just like,
Yeah,
tough.
that's such a huge point, because I like to know who's coming to my practice,
Yes.
because I
Yes.
do actually write down my practices before.
Yep.
And if you write them down, then all of a sudden there's only 10 at practice, then your
The whole
plans are
thing.
gone.
Yep. So the whole
Now
thing's gone.
it's live at the improv. You
Yep.
got to make something up.
Yep.
So, but you're right, with high school, if you need 22 players, you've
You
got
got 20. You got 22 players. You need 30. You
Yep.
got 30, right?
That's
You've
a
got it.
great point. I've never actually thought about, but that is a fantastic point, because
Yeah.
it's so true.
Yep. So all right, Doug, you've been in your years of coaching, right? You've grown as a human being, you've grown as a coach, you've seen some things. Um, Kind of talk to us about what would be some advice that you wish you would have received early on in your career versus what is some advice you would give someone now that's early on in their career And are they the same piece of advice?
It'd be similar. So yeah, I have grown in my coaching because hopefully I don't have too many enemies. But when I first started, I was young and
Hmm.
gung ho and lots of energy and maybe said a few things to the referees that I shouldn't have. And
Yeah.
now I'm old and very old. I'm now a little, believe it or not, some people might laugh at this, but I'm a little calmer now. I leave the referees alone. I know
Yeah.
most of the referees now. I
Right.
read myself. So I've been there, done that. So
Hmm.
I'm a little calmer. I mean, every now and then I will, question a few things,
Yeah, get a little
but I
passionate.
have calmed down, which
Right.
allows you then to focus more on coaching.
Hmm.
Whereas before you're on the referees, you're trying to get everybody pumped up, but how
Yeah.
much coaching?
Right.
Now I'm a little bit more relaxed. I actually sit back and watch the plays and figure out, well, okay, there's a problem here. How can we solve it?
Yeah.
So that's one way I definitely have advanced, I'd like to think.
Hmm.
I'm a lot calmer and I don't get as many probably red cards as I might have done in the past, which I apologize for.
Yeah. Now, I mean, when I was coaching against you all, I can remember getting into it with the ref, and it was like one of those things where I know it roused me up. And like you said, especially being younger and newer into it, there's just so much energy and passion and all of that like, I want to bring to the game, but I also know that that can be on a downside to me as well, in the sense of not focusing on coaching the
Yeah.
players and managing that game. It's a pissing match with the referee, or it's like, hey, it's us against the refs, like just trying to figure out what battle cries you can make to get people engaged.
But you do want to have the passion.
Yeah,
So when your kids see that you have the passion and you want to fight for them, they'll fight for you.
right.
Run
Agreed.
through the walls. But if they see you wasting your time on a referee for 15, 20 minutes, not leaving him alone, then what tends to happen is those players pick up that
Hmm.
characteristic. And then
Hmm.
you're going to hear them on the referee for 15, 20 minutes, and then they're not playing.
Right.
So
Agreed. Yep.
it's a balance that maybe that was me 25 years ago. I'd like to think it isn't so much now,
Right.
but every now and then you have to go back for your players
Yeah, for
and they
sure.
see that passion
Yep.
and go, okay, he's fighting for me. I'm
Yep.
gonna fight for him. So
Yep.
and you just got to do it at the right times,
You
right?
got to find your moments. Well, and I think that's funny you would say that, because I can remember conversations with my assistant coach where I'm like, our team is just kind of in a lull. We're down. Game play is poor, and I'm just like, all right, hey, I got to get us going. Look, I'm gonna get a yellow card. Make sure I don't get a red here.
Yeah.
And then it was something happens, and then you get up and start going into it, and then I hear my assistant, all right, hey, that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
coach, bring it back.
And
Um,
that's a good point here too, is and I've learned over the years, have good assistants.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I love to have assistants that will tell me, no, I disagree, Doug.
Yep.
And so I've got Dan Calderon at high school, it's great. I had
Mhm.
Mike Palermo when I was at Blue Springs. And those two are head coaches,
Mhm.
but they were my assistants. And I would throw things at them and they'd go, no, that's not going to work, Doug. Or
Yeah.
they'd go, yeah, I agree with that. And every time before a game, I'll throw my lineup at Dan and he'll say, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So it's good to have assistant coaches with you because while we are, coaches, you have to have some kind of an ego.
For
The
sure.
day you think you know it all
Yep.
is the day you find out you
You
don't.
don't. You don't. And you usually find out in a very humbling way.
Exactly.
In a
Yeah.
very humbling way. No, for sure. For sure. No Stress Midwest has partnered with mobile app DNA Soccer Lab to bring not only our expertise in training for field players to video, but also offering keeper training, sports performance work, strength and conditioning, player development, and mental performance videos to all of our athletes wanting to take their training to the next level. We even have personal development plans that we can create for those trainees. Visit more on our website at nostressmidwest.com/DNA Soccer Lab to read more. Um, so talk to us about what are some of your favorite or some of your top coaching moments, right? And they could be results. There could be a trophy. It could be a moment with the team, right? It could be you getting badges, whatever, whatever it is that are some of those top moments to you. Kind of talk to us about some of those.
Yeah, that's a tough one because there are top moments when you achieve something big, but I find there's moments every year. So every
Yeah.
year you at club, you lose some players, you gain some players. So it's a start a new year.
Hmm.
So I mean, for example, 3 years ago, I picked my 2006s up and they had only won 3 games. And by the end of the year, they'd won 14. Now, we didn't win any major trophies or anything, but for me going from 3 to 14 and the girls going from, hey, we're not very good to, whoa, we're not bad.
Right.
That's a massive achievement. And
Right.
then you go to in 1996, when I was at Blue Springs was the first boys team to win a state championship and not be from St. Louis. Now, we had one really good player, but then
Hmm.
we had a bunch of good players that worked as a team. And I used to say this, and some people would get mad at me, but it's the absolute truth. The team we played was CBC. If we played them 10 times,
Yeah.
lose 9 of them.
Yeah.
But
But hey, all you need is one.
we scored on a set piece, we defended for our lives, and we won the state championship, which most people would say you never should have.
Right.
But that's
But
the
you
great thing
did.
about soccer. And
Yeah.
this is going back to the point I said, when you think you got it and everything's rolling,
Right.
there's a game where you think you should win and you don't. And then
Hmm.
it's like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am.
Right.
So like I said, you go from year to year where there's little achievements. Like I had a team 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer than that, that was like #1 in the nation for 4 months. We beat Michigan Hawks 5-0. We beat Michigan Hawks 3-2. Guess who won the national title that year? We
Michigan
did.
Hawk. Yeah.
Michigan Hawks.
Yeah.
So those achievements of winning those games, and the problem is that they won those games. Then they went to high school. Then I got them
Then
back.
come
I had
back.
to get
Yeah.
ready, and we weren't quite ready. But
Yeah.
I could go on from year to year to year of just little achievements, whether it's players that were never going to make the team, then all of a sudden they're the best player on the team.
Hmm.
Okay? Or a team on our third team at Blue Valley, and they come to me and now they're on the first team, and I'm like, why were they on the third team for 3
Right.
years?
Right.
So just little things and you go from year to year, month to month, week to week, sometimes day to day, and that's what I love about the game is it is about a little bit of winning, but it's about just seeing individuals and teams succeed.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I tell this to almost anyone that listens and some people that don't listen,
Yeah,
um, is when I look back in my playing career, the most memorable moments I have were things that were like off the field. Like
yeah,
it wasn't, yeah, I scored some good goals and had some great wins with the team and all that, but it was like what happens in the bus ride on the way home after winning that game,
absolutely.
or on the sideline when coach trips and falls over himself, and then everyone sees that, right? Like those are the moments where I'm like, man, like, or you go to those travel tournaments with club and you're in the hotel playing tag or hide and go seek and you get caught by the manager, like there's just all of those moments that I'm just like, it just makes me look back as a coach and say, what am I teaching? What do I want these kids to remember from this?
Yeah,
Because I feel like I've had way more memory, especially on the high school level, than wins. And it's like, okay, can these kids leave my program and then look back and say, dang, like, although we didn't win a lot or I didn't understand his thought process then, I
yeah,
see what he was trying to do for us, or I see what he was trying to teach us.
yeah, absolutely. And that's at Scion we've been 8-10 and 6-12, so we haven't had winning seasons,
Right.
but I feel when the kids leave, they're excited to come back the next year, and so you think, all right, well, maybe I've done something right. We haven't won a lot of games, but you've done enough to get the kids interested, have fun, build memories, and
Hmm.
most of them will not be on the field; they'll be off the field,
Yep.
and then they'll come back next year ready to go again.
Ready
So
to go
yeah,
again. Yeah.
that's
Yep.
important.
Well, and so you said you've had some great assistant coaches with you. Um, what are some things that you look for in your assistant coaches, right? When you're looking for that help, you said you want someone that's going to say, hey, maybe I don't necessarily agree with that, right? There's always that fine line, I feel like, from head coach as a head coach to an assistant, where you want to be maybe tested is the word, but you don't want to be questioned consistently, where you feel that everything you're doing is always being like, hey, why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing it like that? So just kind of talk to us about what are some of the qualities that you look for? What are things that qualities that you think make a good assistant coach?
Well, so there are a few things. Probably knowledge is important.
Hmm.
So the two assistant coaches I named earlier, I know they know the game. They both played at a very high level, so they're good players. They both had a little bit of fire in them.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's important as a head coach to let the assistant know, this is why I'm hiring you. I'm not
Right.
hiring you because you're a good player and you got a great resume. I'm hiring you because I'm obviously the head coach. I
Yeah.
will make the final decision, but I want you not necessarily to question me, but I want you to challenge me.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want you, because you could quite easily just sit back and sit there and not say a word the whole game. And there you go. It's an
Yep.
easy
And just,
job.
hey, coach, great thing. You coach,
Yeah.
that was awesome. I love the, yeah.
But I want to be coaching here and then come to you just before halftime and say, hey, got anything you think
Mhm.
about? Because you see the game one way, I see the game the other way. So I'm seeing this, but maybe I'm being ignorant to the other side.
Yeah.
And maybe you go, yeah, but coach, why don't you look at this?
Hmm.
And so if I have them, I balance them out. Now I will make the final decision,
Right.
but I'll balance out and I'll look, you know what? That's a good point.
You've got more information to make the final decision.
So we got two coaches
Hmm.
coaching the team. So you would think you would get more out of that rather than have an assistant coach that just sits down and does nothing.
Just gets the best seat in the house, right? And all the free clothes.
Now, a good thing about the assistant coach is when you're assistant coach, because I've been there,
Yeah.
well, that middle guy.
Yep.
So your
That's,
players will always have problems and
hmm.
complain,
Hmm.
but they might not come to me because they're afraid if they say it to me, I'll never get to play again.
Yep.
But they can go to my assistant coach and say,
Yep.
hey, what about this, what about that? And then my assistant coach can tell me in a nice way, well, hey, the girls are really tired and they've got a lot of tests. They need a day off. All right,
Yeah.
great. I'm going to like a hero because I'm going to come out and say, all right, tomorrow, day
We'll
off.
give
And they'll
you
go,
off.
oh, great. Whereas really it was my assistant coach that did all the work,
Right.
told me about it, and now I look like a hero as a head coach.
Right. Right.
So they can help in many ways.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, like you said, the assistant coach was has an important picture as that kind of intermediary between the head coach and the players, and being that filter where, a player's upset that they're not playing more, you'll, hey coach, Sophie's just kind of a little upset. She just wants to know what she can do to play more. Head coach can say, well, Sophie sucks and she's never going to get on the field, right? And then that's your
Yeah.
job, like, hey, well, coach just hasn't seen enough from you yet. Like you have to figure out how to
The
filter,
mediator.
yeah, how to filter that down to them. Um, and I feel like because I started off as an assistant coach, um, being able to be an assistant coach and knowing like, okay, this is my role on the team, then becoming a head coach, and like you said, hiring assistants to say, hey, I know how important the assistant coach role is with the players, and it's your job to be that person, because they're not coming to the head coach about all of these problems like that. They want to be able to talk to the assistant, someone that is, not going to say their friend, but more on both sides of it, instead of it just being the head coach, right?
Yeah. The
And
head coach is the bad guy. The assistant coach,
100%.
like good cop, bad cop.
Yep.
So,
100%. 100. And they get free clothes, which is also what makes
yes.
being the assistant really nice. Um, so all right, so Doug, we're getting ready to wrap down here. We still have a few more minutes left before we're winding down. I'd like to get your view, just kind of while I have you here, on this winter. Right, we've got the World Cup coming up here. Um, I don't know what team you're supporting. We're playing England and we're playing Wales, so that's that. Maybe you're a US supporter. What's kind of your thoughts on the World Cup this upcoming year?
Right.
Have you heard the big news? No Stress Midwest has found a new home at the soccer lot located downtown Kansas City. Swing by and check out our new training facility as well as our classroom. We'll be hosting our tutoring sessions. Be sure to also check out our player lounge, which includes a TV, FIFA, ping pong, and a tech ball table for all of the needs of our trainees.
All right, can I be frank with you?
I'd love to hear it.
I am supporting anybody that plays against England.
Oh boy, okay.
So I just give you the history. I was born in Scotland.
Yeah,
Now I lived in England for most of my life,
right.
but our family were Scottish. And so there's no bad blood between Scotland and England, but
There's
you don't want to lose to England. And
Yeah.
then I've got lots of friends that are English. And if they win,
Oh,
then I got to listen to them. And I
my goodness.
cannot put up with that.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you this, I'm going to be supporting USA.
There we go.
I will be supporting Wales
There
too.
we go.
Because
Iran.
Scotland, I went to college in Wales. I got like 60% of my friends over here are from the same college in
Okay.
Cardiff. So I might even borrow a shirt from one of my buddies to take
There we
with
go.
me. Because here's the good thing, I'm going to Qatar, or however you say it,
Oh,
for 4
yeah.
days.
Wow. For the game. So are you watching a game or are you just going to be in the area?
I'm not sure the exact games, but I've got, I think, France, Uruguay.
Ooh,
I'm also seeing Ronaldo, Portugal.
there we go.
Against, I gotta look at the actual games, but those two games as of now.
All right.
And I'm
That's
working on a
awesome.
US England, but I just don't know if I
Mm.
get to the country on time to see it.
Yeah, because it's
So I'm
the
really excited.
25th, I think, is right. Is that
That's the
England?
day I travel. And so
Oh,
I
okay.
bought my son, because I'm going to meet my son out there from Iceland. He says, well, you can get there at 5, jump on the train, get to the game at 7. I'm like, what about my luggage?
Right. What about the fact that I
This,
just traveled across the country
About if
or
the
across
flight
the
gets
world?
delayed.
Yeah,
We'll see.
that's
Exciting time.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I am not cheering for England. I don't think ever.
Why is that?
If I have to hear it's coming home one more time to a country it hasn't been to in so many years, um, that was crazy to me. I equate like England football fans, Dallas Cowboy fans, KU basketball fans.
Ooh, watch out. I'm a Jayhawker. So
Okay, I'm sorry if I offended you there, but that's where I rank the three to me most annoying fan bases.
and it's the same thing. So if they do win, you know you're going to hear about
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There was I was coaching with the USL team this
Yeah.
summer,
Yeah.
and one of the coaches is from England. And the World Cup draw came out and he's, just going on like, "Oh, we're going to show you Yanks what's up. I can't wait," and I'm just like, "Man, I can't wait for you to shut up." So yeah, so okay, so any team that's facing England, that's good. Do you have a early prediction for a winner, or maybe one that a country who you would like to win for a selfish reason?
I'll be quite honest with you. I've not really looked at it close enough. And all I want is to see great games.
Yeah,
And obviously, I don't want England to win it, but anybody else, feel
have
free.
at it. Have
Yeah.
at it.
And
Anyone
it'll
else?
end up being a Germany or Argentina or Brazil or maybe even Belgium might. But as long as they're good games and they're entertaining and
Yeah.
they're not 0-0,
Right,
people criticizing,
right.
I just want a great World Cup. That's all
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to.
Well, and I think when was it Euros 28? What year was the last Euros?
2020, I think. when
2020.
Scotland
Yeah, yeah,
played.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, 2020. And you saw what Croatia was doing there, and like just seeing a country that size going up against the best countries in the world, right? And seeing those games where like you have France who's just coming off of a World Cup, but yet we're struggling during that tournament. You have England that obviously made their huge run, and And although I don't support them at all, I thought it was really tragic how how it ended with them and the PKs and all that, and more so for the players, not for the country. I thought it was really good to, the really good for them to not win it in that way. But just you see the racial abuse that goes on, and
Yeah.
it's like it's still a game. Like it's a childhood game that we play as kids, but yet some of us are lucky enough to do it and get paid lots of money, and others of most of us are just talking about it, right?
And I agree that the abuse, I think, was it Saka took?
Yeah, yep, yep.
We
Rashford.
don't need
I
that in
mean,
the
it
game.
was, and he's like 19. I mean, he's like a kid. He's such
Yeah.
like a freaking baby. Like it's so crazy that he's got all of that responsibility and stuff on his
And then the other
shoulders.
thing, you said Rashford. I mean,
Yeah.
what Rashford does out of the game of soccer, phenomenal.
Lunch, the free meals for I
How
mean,
can you abuse someone like that? That's ridiculous.
and then it just shows you that it doesn't matter who you are, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
It does not matter who you are, how much good you do, if you don't, if you're not winning it and you're not the best player, then people are going to say whatever they feel.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's happening. Remember Beckham when he
Hmm.
got sent off against
Yeah,
Argentina?
yep. And
Everybody hated him until he scored that great free kick against Greece that got him back into the match.
and then everyone
So
loved him.
it's always up and down. You're
Yeah.
great 1 minute and then you're terrible the next. So
What have
that's
you
part of the game.
what have you done for me lately? Right?
Hey,
What have you done for me lately? All right, well, Doug, we're getting ready to wrap up here. I'd like to leave the floor open for you and leave the listeners, leave myself with any final tidbit, any final like mic drop moment, a quote, anything that you want to leave us with before we wrap up.
Okay, so I will finish with this then. Okay, me being the parent with the kids, and I tell my teams this all the time. Your kid plays a game, you get in the car,
Mhm.
okay? Do not ask them how they did or what do you think. Now, you hope, and I pray and hope that my son says, "What do you think, Dad?" Because then the flood doors open.
Yep.
He's brought me into the conversation and we'll discuss it. And what we'll do is we'll try and keep it positive, maybe give some small negatives where he could get better.
Better, yeah.
But you see too many people go into the car and say, well, you had a bad game, or why didn't you do this, or why didn't you do that? 24 hours.
Hmm.
If they want to start a conversation, let them do it.
Yeah.
If they don't, let it be. Just
Yep.
say, hey, we want to go get some food, or you want to go grab a coffee? What do you want to do?
Yep. Be a parent, right?
We-
I love that. And I've seen, oh man, I've been in cars where like the dad is the coach and it's just like a 20-minute just, man, I'm so pissed that you didn't do this. We worked on this in practice. What's going, it's like you weren't even trying. You got to get, and I'm like, man, like how you tell someone after 80 minutes, it's like you weren't even trying.
Yeah.
That to me is, but great moment. I think that's a great way to end it, Doug. I think that's a clip that I'm definitely going to use for promotion to send to all the parents. That 24-hour rule is so crucial, not only talking to your kids, but talking to coaches as well, right? Like, give us time to process emotionally, move on, and then let's talk about it the next day. And usually you find out it's not that big of a deal in 24 hours.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
All right, Doug. Well, hey, I want to thank you again so much. I'm really happy I was able to get you on. We were playing a little bit of phone tag, but we got it sorted out. Thank you for the listeners. Excuse me, for the listeners on the podcast. Doug McLagan, he's here in Kansas City. He's at Scion, which is an all-girls high school. I think still Sporting Blue Valley, with some of the top teams, I think showcase teams within their club. Just great guy. Come to sporting games, watch his son play next season. Hopefully the youngest one is somewhere playing. And Kyle's in Finland if you stream those stations, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Doug. Well, cheers. You have a good one. All right, man.
Thank you, Brian. Take care, mate.
Cheers.